Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is directed by J.A. Bayona, and this time tells the story of Isla Nublar about to be taken out by a volcano in the island. It was dormant for many years, but all of a sudden, the volcano decides, fuck this island, I'm gonna destroy it. And there is a moral dilemma going on whether or not dinosaurs on the island should be saved or not. Ian Malcolm's side and the government side believe that they should be left there to die, and Claire Dearing's side, in which wanted to protect these dinosaurs, want them to survive. And when Claire Dearing and Owen Grady were brought by Eli Mills, who's trying so hard with the Lockwood estate and Lockwood himself to try and save these dinosaurs, and it ended up not being what they seem. Instead of just saving the dinosaurs, the Eli Mills wants to sell them off, auction them all off, whatever he can get from Isla Nublar, to various black market employees. And so our characters have to stop Eli Mills from selling the dinosaurs, making sure they don't get out into the real world. Now, apart from Jurassic Park 3, this is probably the second, or at least, it's probably the second most divisive film in the franchise. There are plenty of people that enjoy it, but there's also a lot of people that really dislike it, and some calling it, still to this day, the worst Jurassic Park movie. I, at the time, really loved the movie. I had a good time. Over the years, my problems with the movie became more apparent, and I don't enjoy it as much as I used to, but I still can find some enjoyment in the film. To start off with the negatives that I had with it first, that still are true today, the villains are very underwhelming. They had so much potential, and whenever I watch this film, their potential grew even more apparent, but it just wasn't executed that well. They became so forgettable. I mean, you got a villain that kills for the first time with his bare hands in a Jurassic Park movie. That is a villain that could be interesting to explore, but the movie never really goes any further with this character than just wanting to sell the dinosaurs. That's it. That's his main motivation. There isn't much to him as a character, and because he's so prevalent in the film, I just feel like the film just stops to a halt whenever he's on screen. Some of the CGI effects aren't always the best. It wasn't as good as I remember back in the theater, but there are still plenty of good shots in the film. Also, another problem I had back then was the use of nostalgia. Gets really heavy-handed near the end of the movie, in which it literally copy and paste visuals from the first movie, and it just became way too apparent and way too on the nose. The Brachiosaurus scene was beautiful, and that was all I need, but they kept going with more visual callbacks, and it just really got in my nerve, especially back when I first saw it. What also drew me back a little bit this time around with the pacing. It wasn't as well paced as I thought. It changed abruptly in the middle of the film when they got out of Isla Nublar, and then turned into a horror movie. It felt like two different movies, like the movie was warring with each other. One part was like, hey, get the Jurassic Park side of things, get all that jungle stuff out of the way so that J.A. Bayona could at the end do his horror stuff that he excels at. Now, both parts of the movie I think have their benefits, but they don't glue as well together as I thought they do this time around. But the characters of Owen Grady and Claire Dearing are still entertaining for me to watch. They're a lot more bearable this time around for some people, I heard, and I can understand why. Claire Dearing has grown a lot as a character from the past film and goes through many challenges in this one that test her beliefs on saving the dinosaurs. She's a lot more interesting here. Owen Grady his his relationship with Blue is kind of what his character is driven by in this series, his relationship with his raptors, and whether or not he wants to help the dinosaurs or not because of his connection with Blue. I think overall it worked, but I don't think it's strong enough for him as a character in this film to go through like an arc, so to say, because the relationship with the other characters are, except for Claire Deering, is kind of non-existent. Speaking of other characters, the side characters that are there for comic relief and help, Zia Rodriguez and Franklin, they're forgettable. Franklin kind of got under my nerves. Yeah, this movie was not as good as I remembered it being. And I will say that because of so many problems, like the T-Rex coming back to save the day in the last second and whatnot, and not feeling like animals, it kind of is the worst of the series. Yeah, a big opinion change, I know. I once thought that it was the second best of the series, but now I think it's probably the worst. But opinions change sometimes. But the action is still fun. The moral dilemmas are very interesting. I really enjoyed all three acts, though gluing them together is kind of the problem. Like, the writing wasn't as strong. Some of the characters are fine. The special effects and the animatronic and practical effects are great. As I said, the acting was fine. The direction is really good. J.A. Bayona made a beautiful looking film. And the entire third act is really entertaining to watch. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the film. I mostly felt like all the problems I talked about were contained in that second act. And the first act, setting everything up, was fine. At the end, this was just a setup for the next film. I hope that the next movie was able to tell its own story very well and make this movie at least a little bit better. Because, yeah, this film wasn't as good as I remembered. Overall, it's okay. I could have fun with it. It's not the best of the series by far. I still kind of consider Jurassic Park 3 to be objectively worse, but in terms of an entertainment value, I can have more fun with Jurassic Park 3 than Fallen Kingdom. And for that reason, I'm going to give Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom a B-. I know it's a far cry from an A. It's not as good as I remembered it being. But overall, that opinions change. Sometimes you don't feel the same way as a movie like before. Sometimes you lose something the second time or third time around. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy it still, but it's good to be able to have different opinions sometimes and understand more what you're watching. Because sometimes you get blinded by things the first time around, and then they become more apparent the more you watch it. And that's my case with Fallen Kingdom. Do you enjoy the film? Do you hate the film? Let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time. And tomorrow, Jurassic World Dominion, baby. Can't wait.